Hello, kia ora, and welcome to our October Climate Watch update, brought to you in association with our business partners at IBM and ruralweather.co.nz. Well, the month of October is shaping up to be remarkably similar to September. It's got a mixture of big highs and big lows as well. And we'll be seeing the first of those lows coming in just in the first week of October with a significant wintry blast for parts of New Zealand. On this animated wind map for the 1st of October, it shows low pressure here around the north of New Zealand, high pressure down around Tasmania, and the red shows where it feels like it's over 30 degrees and the blue below zero. So we're right in that temperate zone at the moment. A little bit of blue you can see up in the mountains here and there, but generally speaking, New Zealand and Australia is temperate to begin off the month, even though the South Island is a little bit colder thanks to that southerly change. But like I say, the first week of October, we will be seeing a significant cold change moving through. So let's get into it. Here is the La Nina outlook. As you know, we're back into La Nina now, but only just. This shows all the various models from around the world. New Zealand, unfortunately, not included in it, but you can see the average mean here of the forecast showing us into the La Nina area. This is the La Nina shading. That's the El Nino shading, which we're a long way away from. So this means for the next few months, up till about December, we've got warmer than average sea conditions to the north of New Zealand, up in the tropics. That encourages more cloud, more humidity, more rainmakers, and more easterlies coming through for the really for New Zealand and Australia. A lot of easterlies blowing through those areas. But it's short-lived and it goes back to neutral next year. Here's another way of looking at it. These are the models from October in the middle here, leaning towards the La Nina side. But when we fast forward to February next year, most of them are pulling back into that middle zone, still leaning a little bit more towards La Nina, but definitely pulling back from where it is. So it looks fairly short-lived, perhaps similar to the last one we've just had. Let's have a look at the sea temperatures at the moment. So this is thanks to the Moana project. Google it, it's well worth having a look at. You can see these maps on it. This shows what basically is where the marine heat waves are. So the redder it gets or the darker it goes up on that scale, the warmer it is compared to normal. So eastern parts of the South Island are pretty much normal at the moment, if not a little bit cooler, but most other places are still leaning warmer than average. These are the actual temperatures, and as you can see, the north of New Zealand in that green-yellow zone, that's still in the mid to late teens, whereas down here around the Otago Peninsula, you're talking about 10 degrees or so, around that mark. So definitely colder, the lower end of New Zealand. Here we have a look now at the air pressure systems for the next few weeks ahead. This is really what gives us the understanding of what October is looking like. And as I say, we kick off with that area of low pressure to the north of New Zealand. Quite a large area of low pressure, but it's not especially deep. Looks bigger because surrounded by this wall of high pressure. So like I say, that's how the month kicks off. But as you well know, the first week does transition through with that wintry southerly, which we don't show on this map, but certainly it is likely around Wednesday, Thursday into that first week. You can actually see it into the second week's map. This is it out here, slowly starting to move away now, but still a wintry southerly as you kick off the second week, which is next weekend. So high pressure on the way after it means it'll be frosty and colder. It won't be as warm as it's been with those subtropical northerlies. So quite a big change for the second week. But remember what I said at the beginning of this broadcast. October's got a mixture of big highs and big lows. This is a massive area of low pressure. This is all normal for this time of the year. It's very messy. Spring's all about winter fading away and hints of summer slowly coming in. And so you can get a wintry blast like this one, but a big high behind it also suggests that is spring-like, and this side of it will have warm subtropical northerlies coming through. By week 3, that high has moved through. A lot of high pressure over Australia, a bit of a change because there's been a lot of high pressure down here for the past few weeks. So we're seeing the high pressure slide further northwards. That allows storms in the Southern Ocean to come through. So as we kick off the third week, a stormy system passing through Australia. Not so bad in New Zealand, but we will be getting, finally, the windy westerlies of spring, which we have not had so much this year. We've had all sorts of other wind directions, but not the consistent westerly flow, which we're going to see a lot more, I think, as we go into the later part. People ask me, why don't we have a week 4? Modelling doesn't really go out that far with a lot of accuracy. This is sort of the last map you can look at, but you can sort of see week 4 building out over here, because that's all moving along this way. And you don't see a great deal of change. You're still seeing another high coming out of the Indian Ocean at the same latitude as this one, and more low pressure down here in the Southern Ocean. So I think we'll see a lot more windy westerly weather which we normally do get as we go towards the end of October and head in towards November. Let's take a look at the rainfall through to the middle of October. So we put into the boxes the areas with the least amount of rainfall. So most of that is out at sea, certainly out at sea here, and through the usual parts of Australia, although that box up there for Queensland certainly suggests that, as we said last couple of months, even if La Nina comes back, you may not see a major change in the weather just yet because we don't really have that pattern. And seeing high pressure shift further northwards, that's why Australia's looking a lot drier. You can see these maps on our website as well if you need to look at them in a bit more detail. But here is the closer up version of New Zealand. So through to the middle of October, the rain falls back on the west coast. That's a sign of windy westerlies blowing through. Rain accumulates on that side, not so much on the eastern side. You will get some of that wet weather though with that southerly blast coming through in October's first week. In the north here, a lot of that rain is associated with the low for the first weekend of October. And then we see a lot more high pressure. The red's up here, 60, 80 millimetres, but we are seeing over 100 in that eastern side, maybe 150 even for some parts of the hills and ranges. This is the IBM forecast now, so the departure from normal, taking a look at the month of October, rainfall for the whole month. And what you're seeing is what we told you a few weeks back, slightly higher than average in these northern areas and the northeastern areas. That's a sign of La Nina's easterly flow, but everywhere else leaning drier than average, especially down here in Fiordland, our rainforest. So a little bit wetter than average, but this is the normal area and we're only sort of in this zone here. We're not really going extreme dry or extreme wet, not based on that one. October, November, December, the rest of this year. So La Nina peaks in November, and you do notice it's a little bit greener here. So we are leaning a wee bit wetter than average, not necessarily hugely wetter than average. August was a very wet month. September's been a lot more closer to average. So I think October will be the same, but maybe some parts of the South Island drier than they normally would be for this time of the year. Soil moisture anomaly from the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research. You can see most of the country in the green zone. It's looking pretty good. A little drier down here around parts of Otago and North Canterbury. I think you'll make up for that a wee bit in the first week of October. Now taking a look at temperatures for the rest of this year, and it's been the same all year. New Zealand is leaning about 0.5 degree to 1 full degree above average. That means even with the cold blast in the first week of October, we're still likely to have the month warmer than average and the following 2 months after that. Whereas it's not the same in Australia. Look at Sydney, New South Wales, Canberra, they're all below average, as is a big chunk of Victoria, those northern areas, more rain clouds in that area. That's the reason why. So there we go. That is the outlook for October and partially November and December as well. Pretty much the same pattern we've been seeing in September. Big highs, big lows, periods to sort of dry out and calm down, and then the next system will come through and remind us that it's still not yet summer. That's why spring is spring. It's not summer. It's hints of winter, hints of summer, all mixed up. Anyway, that is all from me. Thank you so much for joining us. For more information, please visit ruralweather.co.nz if you're not already there, or weatherwatch.co.nz. We will see you again in 1 month for our next Climate Watch update.